Hello and welcome to our show. My name is Janara Iman. I'm a clinical nutritionist in San Rafael. I've had a practice for over 35 years, and I like to bring these shows to you to give you new ideas about how you can bring health into your lifestyle and into your diet and into your healthy ways of living. And the name of our show today is Chronic Ailments and Scientific Nutrition. And these are presenting you nutritional solutions based on lab analysis. With labs, nutrition, and the proper supplements, and using science, we can give the body what it needs to heal itself. We know how to rebuild it and to get to a healthy state. The name of our show today is Fixing the Gut, Your Second Brain. Leaky gut and your brain hormone function is the underlying topic here. And you might have heard this before, but the gut is your second brain. And it's a very complicated system of digestion. It includes the liver, the stomach, the pancreas here, the small intestine and the large intestine, including the appendix. And 80% of your immune system is in the gut. And I did not make a mistake there, 80%. So we want to take care of this gut of yours. And it is the source of many of our problems. We're going to talk about hormones in the gut. The heterogeneous generous hormones produced by the gastrointestinal tract control digestion. They're secreted from cells that line the lumen of the gut. And here's a little picture of the lumen and the gut mucosa and in endocrine organs such as the pancreas. And those are your digestive organs. And that does directly connect to our brain, our hormones, and how we function. And we've talked in our past shows a lot about how hormones are able to be turned on and off based on your state of health. The body will always go to its line of defense, and it will often turn hormones off. Thus, we get hormonal issues if it's dealing with a disease state or an inflammation state. So we want to keep all of this healthy, including your gut. And according to the British Journal of Anesthesia 2000 on the Imperial College School of Medicine in London, they ran a lot of tests, and they realized that these hormones that are in your gut affect your whole body. The enteroendocrine cells form the basis of the largest endocrine system in our body, and this is the close-up of what that all looks like and all that action that's taking place constantly, even when you're sleeping and you're not aware of it. So they secrete a lot of regulatory molecules which control physiological and homeostasis functions. Their key purpose is to act as sensors of the luminal contents. And this is a close-up of a little cutout of one in either classical endocrine fashion or by a paracrine effect on proximate cells. So they play a pivotal role in the control of food intake, and emerging data adds roles in mucosal immunity and repair. So now we know that they're a huge part of the endocrine system and how the body repairs itself as well. How the body heals is it absorbs nutrients and eliminates toxins. And if that's not working well on a cellular level, it doesn't matter what our DNA was. Our DNA can be affected by our environmental toxins. So this beautiful system that we have in our body is designed to protect you from the outside environments, from toxins in your food, and from disease. And when it starts to slip a little bit, we wonder why. But the very first place it starts is usually on the plate. So the gut hormone disease connection is also linked with obesity, polycystic ovarian syndrome, malignancies, lipodystrophy syndromes, to name a few, and over 15 different hormones are secreted in the gut that we know of at this point. Here's a few. The endocrine cells of the small intestine also create or secrete serotonin. Now, that's directly connected to the food we eat too, and that's a feel-good hormone. It's something that, you know, we crave sugar because sugar creates serotonin and we get that happy feeling. But too much of a good thing is also destructive. So here's another picture of that lumen, a close-up. And here we have different types of cells in the lumen of the stomach, and each one of them secretes a hormone or a substance that affects the tissues and the brain. So, and many of these hormones are also found in the brain and other tissues. And many act as a paracrine, and they as well are carried in the blood as hormones. And so we have to talk a lot about hormones when we talk about the gut-brain connection. And the pancreas is a really big part of the endocrine system. And it's got many different functions. It's both a digestive organ and a hormone-producing organ. And it produces insulin. And insulin from the beta cells of the pancreas control your blood sugar. Now, when you get too much sugar, you have an oversecretion of insulin, and pretty soon, you know, we can develop a metabolic syndrome and other things because of our cravings, and that's because we get to an inflammatory cellular level of not being able to get nutrients into our food. We crave the sugars. What we really want to do is utilize a balance of the alpha cells of the pancreas to produce glucagon, which raises the blood sugar level from amino acids. These amino acids are from proteins, and then they are converted into glucose for fuel, and that's a nice balance. That creates a good hormone balance. But we not only have this relationship to insulin and diabetes, we also have a gut-thyroid connection. And many people won't put that together. And new studies have shown that low thyroid, inflammation, leaky gut, and immune dysfunction all interact together to create thyroid problems. And we also know that certain foods lower our thyroid function. So that's something to look at. 70% of your immune system resides in your gut. And the GI tract has many important functions, including digestion, nutrient absorption, elimination, detoxification, and hormone metabolism. And 99% of the transmitters in your body are the neurotransmitters in your body are actually created in the intestine. Now, that's huge. That's your intestinal GI tract, and every brain chemical known as a neurotransmitter is also found there. So here we have a huge brain-gut connection. And yet, we don't take care of our gut the way we probably should. We abuse what we eat, what we drink a lot. But your gut plays a huge role in achieving your optimal thyroid health as well, and that's your metabolic energy. So the other aspect of it is inflammation. We have all heard of the leaky gut syndrome, and that's a huge part of inflammatory conditions. So gluten sensitivity and celiac are part of that. Food allergies, Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, and GERD. And most of us know when we don't feel good after we've eaten. We hold our stomach, we take an antacid, we do something, but we don't do a lot of changing. And this can continue on and on until inflammation creates a disease state. And what we have to look at as some food sources for some people are pathogens. Sometimes one person can eat something and another person can't. And when we have an allergic immune reaction from gluten or other foods, this inflammation can lead to leaky gut. Now, when we have a leaky gut, we're not absorbing nutrients the way we are supposed to, and undigested nutrients get into the blood and create problems. And so not only even if you're taking nutrients in and supplementing your diet, not only are you not absorbing them correctly, but you could also be creating an immune response that causes inflammation. So it's pretty serious, and it creates a lot of distress in the body. So some of those symptoms are tingling or itching in the mouth after you've eaten a food, hives, itching and eczema together, swelling of the lips or face, the tongue and throat or other parts of the body, wheezing, nasal congestion, trouble breathing, abdominal pain or diarrhea, nausea or vomiting, dizziness, lightheadedness or fainting. Sometimes when you've eaten something, you feel a little lightheaded or something doesn't feel right. And less common is anaphylaxis, which is a severe allergic reaction. And, you know, pretty much you're going to take yourself to a doctor at that point because the fear will drive you there. You could die from that shock. But back to the leaky gut, just to explain that a little further, here is a picture of an enterocyte. And this is in your intestinal cells. And right here, these little black spots are where the junctions are. And they're called tight junctions. That's their scientific name. And in a healthy human digestive tract, these cells in the lining of the intestinal tract are tightly fitted, as their name describes. And they act as a barrier that allows only properly digested fats, proteins, and starches to pass through and enter the bloodstream. That's how the body protects yourself. So these nutrients are supposed to sit in the intestinal tract and be there and until they're fully digested. And if they're not, they enter your bloodstream as a pathogen or an antagonist to create an allergic reaction. It causes a histamine reaction. So what happens when those little tight junctions begin to fall apart, we have that leaky gut or gluten intolerance and food allergies that begin. And so you can see the little food molecules slipping through and into the bloodstream, and that's what leaky gut's all about. Now, there is another chemical called zonulin, and it acts as a gatekeeper for your bowels, and it decides how much space that there is between the cells of your bowel lining. Now, interestingly, a 2006 study showed that the bowels, or the intestines, of some people react to gluten by making too much zonulin, and that's how we can test for it. So there's testing we can do to see where you're at. So some of your gastric upset may or may not be caused by leaky gut, but there's a sure way of testing and finding out because the zonulin does decide what size of molecules get passed. So helping the body correct leaky gut syndrome is a significant factor in people's bodies for overcoming a wide array of health concerns. And you can see these little glucose molecules trying to enter the blood, and that's good. We want them to enter as glucose. We don't want them to enter as undigested molecules. But how can we tell? Sometimes we can't. Sometimes we don't know really what's bothering us until we get a comprehensive lab test that shows us. And many times when you go to your doctor's office or your physician or practitioner and you tell them what your symptoms are, they may not fit a diagnosis that will allow a test to be formed or performed. And so you might get this overlooked until you get it to the point where it's unbearable or it's in a disease state. So when we do preventive comprehensive lab testing, we can tell how healthy you are, what problems are just beginning to start, what diseases that you may have, if you have any, what dietary and lifestyle changes that you should make, and if the supplements you're taking are actually working. Because many problems show up in the blood long before you actually feel symptoms. And so we like to do this. We like to see not only what's wrong, but we want to see what's right and maybe what's about to go wrong. You can have only 20% of your liver function, and it won't show up in a test until you feel a disease state. So, it'll show up in a test, but it won't show up in your life. You won't notice it. You'll think you're doing fine, and then all of a sudden, you could be seriously malfunctioning. So you want to know. You want to know if you're headed to a serious illness. You want to know what you can do to prevent it and what changes or nutrients you need to take to get there. And here we have another little picture of a cell membrane blown up and broken down, and this is another brain. Every cell in your body has a brain. Your cells have a double lipid layer with these little protein channels that allow nutrients to go in and out. And according to Newsweek magazine, in these new studies, the gut-brain connection is a proven fact now. We know that inflammation in the intestines directly disturbs the brain's neurotransmitters and hormone regulations, like we were just talking about. So that fatigue that sets in, the inflammatory reactions to things like foods and allergies, or leaky gut, or GI distress, or just brain fog, and extra stress. That feeling of anxiety or stress are often caused by whether or not you can digest your food well, whether or not you're properly having it absorbed into your blood in the right form, and whether or not you're able to make hormones from that, and if there's toxic disruption. We want to test for all that. We want to know ahead of time, and we don't want to wait for a symptom of a disease before we actually look at it. So this is what preventive lab testing does for us. One of the ways we can do it is with hair analysis, because trace amounts of these toxins go from arteries into hair. We give you a comprehensive urine analysis with it. And most importantly, we check for inflammation, which is 80 to 90% the cause of most disease, or the underlying cause. And since we live and die in the cellular level, and each of our cells has this brain, and our gut has this brain, and what we're putting into our gut affects everything in our body, including our thinking and our hormone levels. We wanted this simple test we want to take for urinary malonaldehyde. It will tell us what kind of lipid peroxidation we're throwing off. And it's 50 times more accurate than the blood to determine if you're aging prematurely as well. So we want to put that with your lab analysis and your blood testing as a package, because the blood testing itself at a preventive level tells us a lot. There's 52 different tests that give us markers of our health. And that alone is pretty good, but when we combine it with the rest of the testing, we get a complete picture, and we can tell what your levels actually come down to. So I moved ahead a little bit here because we want to test and get your scores for healthy ranges. Now, by the time you're sick and you go to the doctor, most people get tested. They're in functional highs or functional low levels, and so the averages of blood testing are based on those. So you'll go and you'll get blood work done, but what's actually happening there is that you're getting your scores based on sick people's average scores rather than healthy people's average scores, and we want to prevent that. So when you go back and you do the blood test, we want to have a comparison here based on healthy people's markers, and you'll get a readout of things that'll go wrong, which are shown here in blue and red. And then when you retest, after you get your nutritional program and we get you back on track, your testing often looks like this. Most of the red warning inflammation markers are, most of these have turned to yellow, which are yellow is just a warning, but it's a definite improvement. Many of them will return to normal, and all these really abnormal highs or lows, which are disease states, are often repaired long before that stage sets in where you're irreparable. So we have ways of preventing the body from getting to the state where it can no longer be prepared for optimal health, and if we can't repair it any longer, we can actually still bring it to a better functioning level based on our testing. So with the hair analysis, we first of all, we can see what we're missing in the body here. We can see your minerals, whether you're low. This one's low on molybdenum and phosphorus, and whether you're too high on something. This person has too high of selenium. Now, that's usually unusual. Usually people are low in selenium, and that impairs thyroid function. But, everybody's different, and you need to have your individual blood test to really know that. And then, you want your toxins to be all of them in the green level. So for hair analysis, it's very important that we see what toxins are in your body, and then we can start a cellular healing program and key in professional products that are based on nutrition, orthomoleculars, and herbs that actually bring your cells back to a healthy state again. So these supplements can reduce cellular inflammation, bring your gene expression back to normal, eliminate toxins, and truly get them out of your body. Bind them up and neutralize them into a water-soluble form so your kidneys can actually flush them out rather than resend them back and recirculating them into other organs, which is the danger of many detox programs, especially the ones that you get online. Those can be pretty dangerous, and it's a guessing game. So when we're looking at comprehensive lab testing, what we're looking at is prevention is the best medicine. Most physicians won't test you until you have a severity of presenting symptoms, and this type of lab work only gives you answers. It doesn't give you clinical solutions, and many times in that case we have to treat with medications because we're at that point. And the whole idea is, even if you have to do medications, let's see if we can reduce them, get you to a healthier state so that you're not progressing down that road. So what you can do is you can make small lifetime changes little by little at a time. Once you know what to do, you take small little steps and it's easier. But get tested and find out which supplements and what diet you really need to succeed in your health, because otherwise you'll be like most of my patients who are online, you know, reading late into the night, hopefully finding the magic supplement that's going to work for them, and 50% it's money down the drain because it wasn't the right thing, because they had something similar to somebody else symptom-wise, but actually a different condition in their body. So some of this, you know, some of this works and some of it doesn't. And we like to make sure that you know for sure exactly what you need and what you're getting. So back to the labs, it's really important to get comprehensive lab testing that's based on the averages of healthy people so that you know where you're at in your state of health, and that'll give you the ability to set goals in your life and you know, make the lifestyle changes you need for actually healing your body. And we can do this when we know our weaknesses, and then the resulting nutritional recommendations from this computerized lab testing that happens is individually recommended for you. Yes, there's common protocols that do certain things. We do certain kinds of toxin release, and we take certain kinds of supplements that help the immune system and help the hormones, but it's how we combine them that's really important, and how we combine them depends on your biomedical individual comprehensive picture. And that's the beauty of science meeting nutrition. It's kind of like the old meets the new. And it's the beauty of being a nutritionist in modern times, is we can see what's going on in the body, get an immediate snapshot of what is happening with you on a cellular level. We can figure out the inflammatory levels going on by looking at this comprehensive result that all went into a computer that has looked at thousands and thousands and thousands of these lab tests and have successfully put together nutritional programs and recommendations that have actually worked. And in clinical trials, when we retest, we see health, rather than going backwards to a state of needing more medication or increased disease. And so we don't have to go down that road of the aging disease that you know looks scary as we get older, and we can do things now by having the right information, because there's really no way of knowing if you have oxidative stress or inflammation or headed into a disease state unless you have the symptoms or you get comprehensive lab work as a preventative measure. So that's why we want to do it. We want to give you a nutritional program that offers you everything you need to be able to make those decisions. And we're happy to answer any of your questions. My phone number is 415-496-5205. I have a website, vitalnaturalhealthsolutions.com. And this show airs on Channel 26 every Saturday at 4:30. So you can tune in at various times and see different shows if you miss if you miss a week or so. You can catch up at another time, knowing what time it comes on. So I'd love to answer any questions you may have about your health, how this lab testing can help you, how the right diet and supplements can change your life and bring you back to a feeling healthy and vibrant and having the energy that you had, especially if you were younger and you don't feel that way anymore. As we get older, and I'm in that older generation, I have found that the more I know and the more I can act on. So I want to give special thanks to the crew of Community Media Center in Marin for the use of these facilities so that we can bring you these shows. And I have an office in San Rafael. And as I said before, my website is vitalnaturalhealthsolutions.com. And I'd like to invite you to take a step and bring yourself to optimal health. That's the end of our show today, so may you be in good health.